Have you ever heard of the so-called false friends? Pretty sure you have. Do you tend to have difficulty knowing how to use them? Because throughout our years of experience teaching English, this is one of the most common mistakes we found when native Spanish speakers are trying to communicate effectively in English. So what we've done is we've elaborated a list on the most frequent false friends, and we want to show you how to translate them and use them correctly. Are you interested? Hi there, this is James from Fixienglish, and welcome to our mini-series on false friends. Did you know that 30-40% of the words we use in the English language can also be found in Spanish too? That may seem good news for Spanish speakers, until we bump into the false friends. So, as we mentioned before, here goes our top 10 list on the most frequent false friends. And starting at number 10, we have the English word library, which is commonly mistaken for the Spanish word Librería. But in actual fact, Librería is the equivalent of what we would say in English as bookshop or bookstore. On the other hand, the word library is what we know in Spanish as biblioteca. So, what could be some practical examples of using the word library? Well, you could say, I really like studying in the library. It's so quiet in there. Or for instance, you could say, I've just heard they've reopened the public library after 3 months. Next, at number 9, we have the English word advert, which is commonly mistaken for the Spanish word advertir. But in actual fact, the verb advertir in Spanish is what we know in English as the verb warn. On the other hand, the noun advert in English is what we know in Spanish as anuncio. So, what could be some practical examples using the word advert? Well, you could say, there was a really good advert on TV yesterday. If you wanted to use the verb warn, you could say, I'm warning you, this is the last time I'm going to repeat this. At number 8, we have the verb stay in English, which is commonly mistaken for the verb estar in Spanish. But remember, the verb estar in Spanish is the very famous verb to be. On the other hand, the verb stay in English would be the equivalent of quedarse in Spanish, sometimes translated as well as permanecer. Well, what could be some practical examples using the verb stay and the verb to be? For instance, you could say, I've stayed at that hotel many times. Also, you could use the verb to be in the following sentence. He was right there in front of me, not he stay right there in front of me. He was right there in front of me. I couldn't believe it. Moving further up the list, at number 7, we have the word sensible in English, which is often mistaken for the Spanish word sensible. But the word sensible in Spanish is what we know in English as sensitive. And on the other hand, the word sensible in English is what we would say in Spanish as the adjective sensato. So, what could be some practical examples using these two adjectives? For instance, you could say, he's a sensible kid. He always takes the right decision. Or if you want to use the adjective sensitive, you could say, if you're too sensitive, your teacher won't be able to correct you. Next, at number 6, we have the English word career, which is frequently mistaken for the Spanish word carrera in the academic context. But the word carrera in reference to your studies is what we know in English as the word degree. On the other hand, the word career in English is what we would say in Spanish as profesión or carrera profesional. So, what could be some practical examples using these two nouns? Well, for instance, you could say, she's such a hard worker. What an amazing career she has ahead of her. If you want to use the noun degree, you could say, for example, I've studied a degree in biotechnology at the University of Oxford. Halfway up the list, at number 5, we have the verb realize in English, which is often mistaken for the Spanish verb realizar in the context of executing or doing a task. But the verb realizar in English would be the equivalent of saying make or carry out something or carry out an action. On the other hand, the verb realize in English is what we know in Spanish as the verb darse cuenta. So, what could be some practical examples using these two verbs? Well, for instance, you could say, I didn't realize you had left until 10 minutes later. If you want to use the verb carry out, you could say, for example, don't worry, I'll carry out the investigation. At number 4, we have the English verb assist, which is frequently mistaken for the Spanish verb asistir in the context of going somewhere. But the Spanish verb asistir would be the equivalent of what we would say in English as attend. On the other hand, the verb assist in English is what we would say in Spanish as ayudar a or asistir a alguien when we are wanting to offer help. So, what could be two practical ways of using these verbs? Well, for example, you could say, you don't have to attend that meeting. It's not necessary. Or if you want to use the verb assist, you could say, the seller has offered to assist us if we can't find what we need. And in third place, we have the English word carpet, which is frequently mistaken for the Spanish word carpeta. But the noun carpeta in Spanish is what we call in English a folder. On the other hand, the English word carpet would be what we know in Spanish as moqueta, or sometimes used as well as alfombra. So, what could be two practical examples using these two nouns? Well, we could say, Charlie dropped his glass of milk on the carpet. If you want to use the word folder, you could say, you'll find the documents in the red folder on my desk. In second place, and one of the most frequently mistaken words, is the verb discuss in English, which is quite often mistaken for the word discutir in Spanish. But this verb, discutir, is what we say in English when we express the verb argue. On the other hand, the verb discuss in English would be the equivalent of comentar or debatir in Spanish. So, how could we use these two verbs in a practical way? Well, we could say, for instance, we discussed the COVID situation for more than 2 hours. If you want to use the verb argue, you could say, they were shouting and arguing in the street at 3 o'clock in the morning. And finally, at the top of the list, the number one most frequently mistaken false friend is the English word actually, which is often mistaken for the Spanish word actualmente. But the adverb actualmente is what we would say in English as currently. On the other hand, the English adverb actually could be translated into Spanish in different ways. We could say, for example, en realidad, or we could say realmente, and we could even translate it as the expression de hecho. We also mustn't forget that the adjective form of the word actualmente, which is actual, is translated into English as current, which is also an adjective. So, what could be some practical ways to use these words? Well, we could say, for example, actually, I've thought about your proposal and I'm not going to accept it. Another possible use of this adverb would be, he said he would leave the company, but I never imagined he would actually do it. If we want to use the adverb currently, we could say, for instance, we are currently bombarded by loads of fake news. In its adjective form, the word current could be used this way. My current boss is an incredible leader. And that puts an end to our top 10 list on the most frequent false friends. If you like this video and you found the content useful, why not hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one? If you have any suggestions on future topics you would like us to address, also please leave us a comment below. Thanks for watching. This is James Austin from the Fixienglish team, and we hope to see you in the next series.